Hey everybody, today I just want to do a quick video and talk about how you can easily configure logging of data to a TDMS file using the DAQmx API. So you actually don't need to write any code to be handling the data logging. You can do it straight from DAQmx. I've got a VI here. Let's just set up a very basic task first. So we're going to need to be able to create a channel. We're going to configure timing. We're going to start our task. We're going to read data. And when we're done, we're going to close that out. So that's kind of our initial building blocks. Let's wire all of these guys up. And then let's specify some physical channels. Let's specify this one. And let's configure our sample rate for 1000 hertz or 1 kilohertz. And I'm going to set it up for continuous samples as well. Then let's hook it into this start. And I'm going to add just a little while loop around this DAQmx read function. Oh, LabVIEW's, okay, oops. There we go. Sweet. So we're going to wire that up. And I'm going to change this to analog single channel multiple samples. So we can read multiple samples every call. Because we're sampling at 1000 hertz, we don't want to read data one point at a time. And I'm going to read that in chunks of 100. So we'll actually be getting data 10 times per second. I'm going to be reading data. And then we can wire our task out. Just like that. And there we go. I'm going to add a stop button. And then one last thing. So I'm just going to add a chart here. And let's set it to not auto scale. Okay. So we've got our simple DAQmx example. So this is going to read voltage off of the channel of one of our DAQs and just write it to a graph. So let's run this, make sure it works. There we go. We're getting data just like you'd expect. The graph's updating 10 times per second, etc. So this is working just great. Let's say now we say, well, now we want to be able to log this data so we can analyze it later, save it if we need to send it to like a customer or something. So you can always implement that logging yourself. If you go to File I/O, you can choose the type of file you want to use. So you could be logging to text files, CSV, binary files. There's all these TDMS functions here. But we also can log the data directly using DAQmx, which is really cool. So I'm going to break these wires right here. We're going to go back to the measurement I/O functions, and I'm going to go to NI-DAQmx. So all these functions here I've talked about in the past. These are your common functions that you use a lot with DAQmx. Down in these folders, we have some other functions that are not as commonly used, but still very useful in certain situations. So I'm going to go to task config control. And there's just two functions in here that I want to highlight. So first off, there's this DAQmx configure logging function. This is the one that I'm going to show first to just show how easy it is to set up data logging with DAQmx. There also is this start new file, which basically just moves on to a new file. So if you don't want, if you're going to be logging data for a very, very long period of time, you don't want all of that data going to one file that becomes so big that it's unmanageable. So this way you can move to new files. So let's drop down this logging function. And sweet. Wire that up. And there's just a couple of options here. So you can see, first off, we have this operation. So here you can define for the file where you're doing the logging what you want to do, whether you want to open an existing file, create a file, replace a file, etc. So up to you how you need to use that. I'm just going to leave it as open or create. Next, we need a file path. So I'm just going to generate a, I'm just going to use in the advanced file functions this generate temporary file name. It's handy for stuff like this where I don't really care where the data is saved, but I want to save it and I don't want to really control the naming and everything. So here we're just going to create a TDMS file. And then I need to define the group for the TDMS data. So I can call this basically whatever I want. Use something meaningful, but here I'm just going to call it data. And there we go. And then there's one other option for logging mode. So this is basically the way we want to handle reading data from this task. Most common is log and read. So this is going to allow you to read data out of the task while it also simultaneously gets logged. You also can set it to log only or off. So I'm going to set it to log and read. And I'm going to drop the TDMS file viewer here at the end and wire this path in. Sweet. So now the only thing I had to change was I just dropped this one function in to add the logging, and I've added my TDMS file viewer here, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's go run this and see what happens. So we run it. We're seeing our data just like before, so the task is still running correctly. And now let's stop it, and you get this dialog. So you can see here's our temporary TDMS file. I can see I have group data, so I had defined the group as data, and then I have my channel here, and it gives me details about the specifics of this DAQ channel, and then I can see a graph of the data and a table of the raw values as well. So really cool. And it handles however many tasks or however many channels are in your task. So I could also do something like this. Maybe let's do through channel 3. Okay. And now I'm just going to update this to multiple channels, multiple samples, 2D DBL. So let's just run this. So we've got a nice little rainbow now with all of our channels. And let's stop. So there you go. Now you can see we've got channel 1 or 0, 1, 2, 3. And we can graph the entire group. So it automatically is going to adjust based off of the number of channels in your task, and it's going to log all of that data. So super simple way to set up data logging. The only downside that I see is that if you need to add in other data to that TDMS file that might not be part of your DAQmx task, you're not really able to do that. So that's the one downside. But other than that, it's incredibly simple to set up, super quick and easy, and you're off to the races. So that would be how you can simply set up data logging using DAQmx in LabVIEW. Thanks for watching.
Canon Controls is your gateway to mastering LabVIEW. Dive into programming for data acquisition, industrial communications, and manufacturing automation. Explore how to enhance your projects with cybersecurity best practices. Join the journey to elevate your skills and secure your systems with every episode.